All right, so we've looked at correlations, we've looked at a simple linear regression example. It is now time to answer our initial study question from our case study. So the question is there a linear relationship between destination image, experience, tourist satisfaction, and destination risk on revisit intention? So do those four independent variables predict the dependent variable of revisit intention? So we'll come back into analyze. We'll go to regression, and it's still a linear regression. In other words, we're still trying to look at whether there's a straight line relationship between those variables and, among those variables and revisit intention. So we'll go to linear, and we still have our information plugged in from the last video. So our dependent variable, in other words, the variable that we're looking at the effect of is revisit intention. We want to know what is the effect of these four things on revisit intention. So we already have tourist satisfaction here. We're going to move in destination image, experience, and risk. So we have four variables in our independent variables box. Okay. Double check your estimates and your statistics. So estimates is checked. We have a 95% confidence interval, and we've made sure that we're assessing model fit. And our plots, we have the z residual in the y-axis and the z p residual in the x. You can also include some histograms, normal probability plots. We're going to leave these out of the example though. Okay, there's also a number of additional points or values or distances, things that you can include in your output. Just to keep things simple for this example, we'll not include those either. So just know that they are available. All right. Make sure your method is selected as enter, and then when ready, click OK. So here we see a similar output or variables enter. It shows that we have four independent variables now. So destination risk, tourist satisfaction, destination image, and destination experience. And our dependent variable is revisit intention. Okay, so you can think of the three of those all working, the four of those, risk, satisfaction, image, and experience, all working together on the left-hand side of a chart, and an arrow pointing from the left-hand side to the right, looking at revisit intention. In other words, do those four things affect the intention to revisit the destination? Here we look at our model summary, and we have our R. So this is the coefficient of correlation. In other words, are these four independent variables correlated to this dependent variable? Well, yes, that's a very strong correlation. However, we're not just looking at correlation, we're looking at a linear relationship, okay? So next, we're going to look at our R squared value. So if you recall from the last video, I talked about how if you have one independent variable, you report the R square. If you have more than one independent variable, you report the adjusted R square. So in this case, we're going to report the 0.599, and according to past research, this is a moderate correlation. So 0.6 almost is a very good adjusted R square. This is essentially saying that 60% of the variance of the independent variables predict the variance of our revisit intention dependent variable. Okay, and then we can come down to our ANOVA table and look at the significance level, and again, it's less than 0.001, which is less than 0.05, so we would conclude that there is a significant result here. So in other words, we reject our null hypothesis. There is a strong linear relationship between destination risk, satisfaction, image, and experience on revisit intention. So these predict this. Okay. We can come down to the coefficients here. This is more useful in a table when you're running multiple independent variables, as we are here. You can check to see the t statistic for each one, the significance level for each of these, and try to understand from the beta values which one contributes the most explanation of revisit intention. So of satisfaction, image, experience, and risk, it looks like based on the unstandardized B of 0.426 for experience, with a less than 0.001 significance level, the destination experience is the best predictor of revisit intention among our independent variables. Also of note is the significance level for destination risk is actually above 0.05. We would therefore need to conclude that destination risk on its own is not a strong indicator of the relationship of the likelihood to revisit the destination. So if we were just looking at the linear relationship between risk and revisit intention, we would fail to reject the null hypothesis, and we would conclude that there is no linear relationship between risk and revisit intention. But luckily for risk, it's being grouped together with the others, which pull it back up into a significant overall result. When you report the results, you will include your adjusted R-squared value, your significance level, your F-score, degrees of freedom, and these unstandardized betas if you're breaking them out into each individual variable. Here's our final scatter plot. You can see that these circles are much more closely aligned, and there is a very good indication that there's a straight line through this information. If we were to rerun this analysis without risk, so we take the insignificant result out and rerun it, and we look at the chart, it looks even more straight line than previously, right? So things tighten up nicely. The R-squared jumps up slightly as well, 0.601. Overall, it's a better model fit. So this is essentially multiple linear regression analysis.